welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the BGF podcast. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
And today we got the free agency frenzy sort of recap videos. We decided to bring you some winners and losers for today, sort of go over some deals that were made and who we really like heading into next season, pre-draft, obviously. There's still a lot of time left before the season. A lot can happen, and my Vikings just made a major move. Can't lie.
Yeah.
Traded for Houston Texans first round pick. Literally happened 5 minutes ago. Gave up, I believe, a second and a fifth or something like that. I'm not sure the details, but I know we got the first and we didn't trade our first, so it's good.
Getting ready to trade up to pick 3. But yeah, most of the big names are off the board right now in terms of free agency, so we thought this would be a good time to give the winners and losers, because I don't think there's going to be many major deals unless it's via trade. So we're going to start off with our first winners here, and I think you're going to have a lot to say on this one. The Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Their additions that they brought in: Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore. I thought they would have made a bit more, but obviously the big one is Kirk Cousins, and getting some wide receiver help where they only really had Drake London in the past seasons. And in terms of departures, Jonnu Smith, Jeff Okudah, and Desmond Ridder are on their way out, and this is a huge improvement. We already knew this Falcons defense was pretty solid last year. They had a quite decent season. They almost made the play, almost won their division, but unfortunately Tampa did win. And Desmond Ridder, they were a quarterback away. That's really what it's been with Atlanta. They've had these big pieces that they drafted on offense, and Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, and they haven't been able to get the best of them with Ridder and Matt Ryan before them. So, yeah, what do you got to say on Kirk Cousins? I know you got a lot to say on that.
They bring in Kirk Cousins, who, as a Vikings fan, I'm really upset we didn't re-sign him. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and I do understand why he left. I do understand why we didn't keep him. We want to get a little younger at the position, and Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles injury. Now, when we look at the contract for Atlanta, I really, really love this contract, just because you have to look at the structure of it. It's 4 years, 180. Fine, that's a big, hefty fee. 100 guaranteed, that is also pretty big. But 90 of it is guaranteed in the first 2 years. So you're basically paying Kirk Cousins $45 million for 2 years. After that, you have $10 million on the books, and you can but you can sort of get away with that $80 million pretty easily. It's not as bad as people think. However, I do believe now that they brought him in because they believe their window's now. Kirk Cousins is 36 years of age. 2 years, you're going to probably get a very quality play from him. I think Kirk Cousins is an excellent quarterback. I wouldn't be scared of his Achilles. It's his first really major injury of his career, and he's come back from pretty much everything. So, really love the signing. Like Brandon said, you bring in Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, sort of help that wide receiver moon, add some speed, which has been severely lacking. Unleash Kyle Pitts, hopefully. That's the game plan, because we know how much of a unicorn he can be, and this Atlanta team killed it this free agency. I can't lie.
And we even saw now that Kyle Pitts has the number 8, and Kirk Cousins has obviously been number 8 his whole career. And Kyle Pitts is like, you can have the number 8 if you just give me some targets.
That was pretty funny.
He's desperate. We're all desperate to see it. And even with Kirk Cousins, like you said, off the Achilles injury, he should be fine because he's never really relied on athleticism. He's always been a pocket passer. Yeah. So he should be fine coming off of that. And I also agree with the contract. I like that. It's $90 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins is going to get a lot of money in the first 2 years. And I think they could get off it pretty quick. And obviously their owner wants to win now. He is one of the older owners in the league. So I'd expect Atlanta to be the favorite to win this division now.
Most likely, yeah.
I really love this roster. You know how much I'm a fan of guys like London.
I know, you were a fan.
Especially Bijan. So.
You were a fan with Desmond Ridder at the helm.
Exactly.
So imagine what you're going to be like with Kirk Cousins.
I'm just happy to see these guys and not have to see Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder. So I really like this Falcons offseason. They didn't lose anyone of big note. Jonnu Smith finally gone. So
Kyle Pitts is tight end 1, and he's the only tight end in the room.
Yes, sir. So I like this. What would you grade it for them? I think I'd give it an A.
It's a solid A. It really is. Kirk Cousins is obviously their biggest move, but I like the speed they added at wide receiver. They re-signed a few players. Don't hate it. The departures weren't anything crazy. A solid A. I don't think much gets better from here. Plus, you have the number 8 overall pick in the draft.
That too.
So address whatever you need there. DT, edge, whatever you want to do, go get him. And this Atlanta team is going to be serious next year.
I feel like it's just complete. Their offensive line was already solid. Now they got the quarterback. The receivers are even better now with Mooney and Moore. They got the quarterback. Everything is solid. And I really like this Falcons team going into next year. I feel like they could be one of these teams that could cause an upset come playoff time. And we're still far away from then. We'll see what happens in the draft and everything. But like I said, I like this Falcons team. And who we got next as our next winner?
We got the Houston Texans coming in. Made a few big splashes. Well, signing another one of my boys, actually.
Danielle Hunter.
So they bring in Joe Mixon, trade with the Bengals, Danielle Hunter, Danico Autry, Aziz Al-Shaair, Alani Johnson, and Jeff Okuda. Re-signed Dalton Schultz and Kaimi Fairbairn, and they had a few big releases, especially in Jonathan Greenard and Blake Cashman. I do like those pieces a lot. Obviously, both coming to Minnesota. So you know what? Minnesota's been active this offseason. I can't lie. But yeah, no, just going in on the Houston thing. This D-line next season is going to be elite. You got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter staring on the opposite side of him. That is scary. I don't care who you got coming in front of them in the O-line. That's just a problem. We saw what D'Amico did in San Fran when he was DC with Bosa. Just imagine what he's going to do with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. He's going to cause so much havoc against quarterbacks. And the crazy part is, we didn't mention this, but I just wanted a little tidbit. The Vikings are hosting both the Falcons and the Texans next year.
That's gonna be interesting.
So should be fun.
They're gonna be back in Minnesota, Danielle and Kirk Cousins. But for me, I really like this Texans offseason. They're taking advantage of having their quarterback on a rookie contract, which we see a lot of these teams don't do. And I'm happy to see that. And they're finally loading up on that defense, helping D'Amico Ryans out. I really like the Aziz Al-Shaair signing. I feel like they made such big moves that's going to go under the radar, but he was very good when they were both together with the Niners, so I like that signing. And they did lose Blake Cashman as one of their linebackers, so that's a nice replacement there. And obviously, Joe Mixon is an upgrade on Devin Singletary. I don't know how much of an upgrade it really is. I feel like it's going to be pretty similar, but I still like that signing. The only thing is, I think he got like a 3 or 4 year deal.
He got a pretty big pay.
27, 28-year-old running back. I don't know how much I like that, but at this point, they got the money to spend, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think he's going to be on like too much of a high salary. And yeah, like you said, with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, this is going to be one of the better defensive lines in the league, and it's going to be great to see. And I'm expecting the Texans to take a big jump this offseason, because they didn't really this season. They didn't really need to improve too much on offense. They already had the pieces with Tank Dell coming back and Nico Collins plus CJ. And plus, I really like them bring back Dalton Schultz towards the end of the year. When Tank Dell went out, he really started to
show
his Dallas form. So I like this offseason for the Texans. I'm probably going to give it A-, slightly, or maybe an A, honestly. I think it might deserve an A as well. I think they did what they needed to do.
I'm going to give it an A. I agree with you. I really like the load up on defense. Obviously, their biggest piece, Danielle Hunter, but Aziz Al-Shaair is very underrated linebacker. Lonnie Johnson, Jeff Okuda are both depth pieces at cornerback, just sort of help that room, bring a little age in there, a little veteran leadership. And no, I agree with you. I'm going to give this an A as well. I like this Houston offseason a lot.
I'm jealous of this Texans offseason. I was hoping Al-Shaair would come back to the 49ers. I had a little outside hope that maybe somehow we'd find the money for Danielle Hunter, but obviously that was just kind of a dream.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to our next winners. We got the Chicago Bears, who see last night as we're recording this. Keenan Allen was traded there for a 4th-round pick. That was a huge, big-time move. I'm just going to pull up their...
I got it. Looking at their key additions. So this offseason, bringing in, like Brandon said, Keenan Allen last night, DeAndre Swift, Ryan Bates, Kevin Byard, Jonathan Owens, and Gerald Everett. Also re-signing Jalen Johnson, which was huge. He was estimated to go to free agency, as well as Patrick Scales. Justin Jones and Darnell Mooney are the only departures. And I think they upgraded big time on Darnell Mooney, I can't lie. But yeah, what do you think about this offseason?
I really like it. Especially the Jalen Johnson re-sign. I feel like that's going to go under the radar because of Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift and the other big names they brought in. But he was really solid last year. Yeah, he's a type of corner that could have an all-pro type year this year, especially if the Bears are decent. And the only one was Swift. I feel like it was a bit too much money. The fact he got the same amount as Pollard and he kind of got the same rate as most of those running backs, I don't think he's really at that level. But he was solid last year with Philly. I just feel like it had a lot to do with that offensive line, and I don't know how much it'll play a factor with the Bears. I just really like that they're setting up the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
A good situation. This is going to be one of the better situations for a number one overall pick that probably we've ever seen. He's going to have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, solid at tight end, DeAndre Swift in the backfield, and plus the offensive line is it's not amazing, but they have pieces on it. They obviously drafted Darnell Wright last year and the 9th pick they had, or 10th pick.
Yeah, 9th, I think.
Yeah, plus they bring in Ryan Bates, and with the 9th pick again this year, you'd imagine they probably go offensive line again. So it's going to be a nice situation for Caleb, and it's really looking nice for the Chicago Bears. And I think I give them a B+, A-.
I would agree with you here.
I think I'm going to give A-. It was a really solid offseason. I don't know how much more they could possibly have done, so I like it for the Bears. I like it better than what they had done last year.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. They're taking advantage of the rookie QB contracts, like you said. Obviously, have to overpay for some players, seeing as they were bottom of the league for a few years now. That's why the DeAndre Swift got so much money, but I don't hate it. I like the moves they made. I'm going to give it a solid B+. And our division is looking stacked.
Yeah, that division is looking good. The Bears are going to be better this year. The Lions, who we'll talk about a bit soon, they made a few moves to get better, and obviously the Packers are emerging with their young guys. So.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting in that division. Anyway, now our next 3 teams are just some honorable mentions that we have. We're going to go through them quick.
First one.
The Detroit Lions. They had a solid offseason so far. They brought in Carlton Davis via trade with Tampa Bay, Marcus Davenport, who you know very well, and DJ Reader. They also re-signed Emmanuel Mosley, Graham Glasgow, Jalen Reeves, Mabin, and Michael Badgley. And they lost Jonah Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater, who retired, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. A big problem for them was obviously their secondary, so getting Carlton Davis from Tampa Bay, I like that move. Anything to improve their cornerback room is going to be an improvement for them, considering how bad it was last year. And then the real big signing was DJ Reader.
That was huge.
That was a guy that many teams wanted. Like, I know your Vikings wanted him, and me as a Niners fan also wanted him. So a lot of teams, it's a premium position that a lot of teams are in need of right now. So, and they got him on a very cheap contract. I'm just gonna look it up quick. And I think it was like only like $8 million guaranteed or something. It was something. I was very surprised when I saw it because I know he had a lot of interest from other teams. So yeah.
He is a bit on the older side, 29 years of age.
29. It's not like he's still
got gas in him.
I don't think he's old.
I don't think he's old.
Yeah, here, 2 years, $27.5 million, $9.5 million guaranteed. I feel like
that's a really good contract.
It's a very good contract, and I'm surprised no other team was able to. Maybe there was other teams offering a better deal, but they want to go to a contender. I don't know.
So why did we put them on the honorable mentions? Just because they brought in a guy in Marcus Davenport, who has a Hall of Fame agent, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. This man is stealing $10 million from the Detroit Lions to play 4 or 5 snaps. Good for him, but no. They lost a lot of key pieces, in my opinion. Jonah Jackson's huge, offensive line guy. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is pretty good. We know how good he is.
I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson's he's overrated. I feel like his antics are. What did he do this year? The guy was injured most of the year. And then he came back
but
and he didn't really. He had that pick against Tampa, and what else did he do? Then against the Niners, did absolutely nothing besides wave. That's all he did.
You're a Niners fan, yeah. You're a little bitter. It's fine.
I don't know. What am I bitter about? We beat them.
You did beat them. You're right. So, anyways, rating the Detroit Lions free agency, I'm gonna give them a B. I think it was pretty solid. They added pieces they needed, especially Carlton Davis. That was a huge piece. DJ Reader's huge. That D-line's gonna be scary. It was already scary last year. Imagine adding a guy like DJ Reader. Like, god damn. And I'm gonna give the Lions a solid B. I think they were really good in free agency.
This is why they're on the honorable mentions list. They're not quite the same level as the Falcons, the Texans, but I feel like it was
It was successful.
They improved areas they needed to improve on. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Not every team's gonna sign 5-6 players, so.
That's true.
I'll give it a B, or maybe B minus. B minus because I had given the Bears. I'm gonna stick with the Bears A minus, so I'll give it a B for the Detroit Lions. Next up, in our honorable mentions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They obviously didn't do anything to bring in like new guys, but they had a lot of guys on their own roster that were
estimated to hit the market and make a killing.
So,
managed to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously no key additions as of yet. However, key re-signings: Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., Levante David, Greg Gage, Chase McLaughlin. Huge. Obviously, you had to lose some pieces for that to happen. Ryan Jensen retired. Carlton Davis, as we just mentioned, got traded to the Lions. Shaq Barrett and Devin White. Their linebacking room took a bit of a hit, in my opinion, but you still brought in Levante David, brought back, I should say, who's decent, but you don't have the depth that you used to have. However, Mike Evans is back. Baker's back. The offense is just fine. Antoine Winfield's back in the secondary. Love that. And, they just did what they needed to do. Work some cap magic, and they did it, and everyone's back, ready to go.
Yeah, the one for me, though, I was surprised Mike Evans came back.
Me too.
It looked like the relationship there was kind of not great. So I was expecting him to leave, and then Baker. I thought Baker would resign just because I didn't think he would have like a huge market, especially for big time money. So, and even then bringing back Levante David, I prefer him a lot more over Devin White. I feel like Devin White was kind of on the back end right now of his career. So
it wasn't the same.
Yeah, so I like that they bring back Levante David, and I really like this offseason for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B minus here. Just because they didn't really bring in many additions, but they did what they needed to do with their re-signings at least. They brought everyone back. And
yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I'll give them a B minus as well. Next up on our honorable mentions list, we're going to have the Philadephia Eagles, who had a pretty solid offseason. And the big time name for them was obviously bringing in Saquon Barkley.
Interdivision, man.
Yeah, we saw the controversy there with the former Giants running back that said he was dead to him or whatever. But anyway, they also bring in Bryce Huff. CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back after his 1-year stint with Detroit, and they bring in Devin White, who we just talked about, and they re-sign Landon Dickerson, Braden Mann, Rick Lovato, and Jake Elliott. But that's the only thing with them was they lost a lot of guys.
They did lose a lot.
DeAndre Swift, Jason Kelsey to retirement, Fletcher Cox to retirement, Kevin Byard, who didn't really play a huge role for them anyway, Marcus Mariota, and Nicholas Morrow. Obviously, like we said, the big time one is going to be Saquon Barkley. In front of that offensive line, it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do there, as he's never really had a good roster with him in New York. So, interesting to see what happens there. Bryce Huff, another guy that I was hoping the Niners could get in on. Didn't happen. He had a pretty sizable contract. I think it was $19 million a year. So that was pretty big. Like, for you, who would you prefer? Bryce Huff or Jonathan Grenard? I feel like they got pretty similar deals.
I would prefer Jonathan Grenard because I think he's a bit younger.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not too sure.
I think they're pretty similar in age, but I think I'd agree too on Jonathan Grenard. I feel like he's kind of slept on. I feel like Bryce Huff is more of a bigger name because he played for the Jets. But anyway, and CJ Gardner-Johnson, I'm not too big of a fan of. It's really the Saquon Barkley signing, in my opinion, that's the big move here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The losses there. I'm going to give them a C+. I feel like everyone's going to be giving it A's and whatever, but I'll give it a C+. It's an honorable mention. It's a pretty solid offseason.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. You have to take into account their pieces they lost are pretty hefty, but they did a good job in adding what they can in areas of need. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you. C+ here for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Anyway, next up we'll move on to our losers.
Our honorable losers. These guys, in our opinion, these guys we were expecting a lot more from, and they just didn't hit. And our first one here is going to be the New England Patriots. Obviously, they were kind of active in free agency. They were doing some things, but having that much cap space and not going after a big name or trying to help reignite this team, and just it doesn't help. You bring in Jacoby Brissett, Antonio Gibson, Austin Hooper, Taki,
Offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. We know he is. But, then you lose Mac Jones. You trade him to the Jags. Mike Gesicki, Mac Wilson, and then Matthew Slater. Like, it was just a replacement offseason for me. Like, they didn't really do much. Their biggest move, in my opinion, is probably Jacoby Brissett coming in at quarterback. Maybe Antonio Gibson to sort of help that running back rotation. But, yeah, you bring in guys like that, and you had this much cap space, and you do nothing with it. That's my thing. Like, you had so much money. I think they were top 10, I believe, going into it.
They definitely should be, because I don't see anyone besides on defense. I have a few guys that are getting paid, but besides that, not too much.
Yeah, so like you're positioning yourself next year to have a lot of money again. We'll see what they do, but like draft is still coming up. We don't know. Vikings are rumored to be looking at their pick, so we'll see what they do. I don't think they should trade down. I don't think it's a great move, but so far the Patriots for me are sitting at a D-.
Yeah, in terms of grade, I'm not too sure yet, but I expect a lot more. The expectation for me was that they were going to bring in a rookie quarterback. I don't know what the plan is there, if they are going to trade back or they're obviously planning for something. I don't know. I really like the Jacoby Brissett sign. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, we know that.
Hoping he gets to start a few games, because I think he's gonna anything like too special that he's gonna bring to the playoffs or anything. But I feel like you can win your games, and if you have a solid roster around him, he could get you to, like, on a Vikings roster last year. If they would have traded for him instead of Josh Dobbs,
yeah.
I think maybe they could have made the playoffs. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant right now. I mean, for me, it's the receiver room. It's very, very bad.
It is bad, and you had names that you could have went after this year.
Like Keenan Allen, I saw the report yesterday that they said a 4th round pick was too high of a price for Keenan Allen. It's like, you have the cap space. Why don't you just make the move? Like, what's the receiver? Demario Douglas is their wide receiver one right now. No offense to Demario Douglas. I think he showed flashes last year. I think he could be an okay receiver, but come on.
Yeah.
Demario Douglas.
And Tyquan Thornton is year 2.
Yeah. I think Kendrick Bourne.
Or Kendrick Bourne is probably his year. Yeah, Tyquan is year 3.
I really like Kendrick Bourne as well, former Niner. I like him with us, but he's coming off a major injury, so you just don't. I don't know how much you can really expect from him right away.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, I don't think like the guys they brought in are bad. It's underwhelming. I think that's really what it is for me.
It is underwhelming considering their cap space situation and just how much money they had. They really did nothing. Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to another one of our losers.
I'll give them a. You just gave what, D-? I
said D-.
It's because they brought in Jacoby. I'll give them a D+.
There you go.
It's nothing great, but
let's go into a bit more. One of my biggest losers, at least this year in free agency, the Denver Broncos.
Shocking.
I mean, they brought in Brandon Jones and Malcolm Roach.
Nothing to write home about.
Nothing to write home about. You re-sign Will Lutz. We know how big Sean Payton is on Will Lutz. But your key departures is where it gets really, really ugly. You lose Justin Simmons. All right. Russell Wilson, kind of expecting that. Then you lose Jerry Jeudy, Lloyd Cushenberry, Josie Jewell. Like,
these are big-time names.
These are big-time names. And you have to eat $85 million in dead cap thanks to Russell Wilson.
I really, you even have to trade a first-round pick to get Sean Payton, which kills me. It's like, I really don't like that guy.
Like, the Broncos are set back now.
For a long time.
I think 5 years.
Yeah, fair. I think that's fair.
Like, even if you somehow land the quarterback that you think is going to be your future guy, like,
I didn't tell how they do it.
But your team's who do you have out there? You have Cortland Sutton as your only weapon.
Marvin Mims breakout.
Like, it's just ugly. And they're not going to have cap this year or next year because of that dead cap hit.
Who's going to start for these guys? Because, I know they want to trade up, but, obviously the Vikings want to trade up too. And you look at the assets, the Vikings are blowing them out of the water in terms of assets. They didn't sign anyone. Who's their only... Jarrett Stidham was, from what I remember, the only QB on the roster for them. Which I'd assume he won't be starting for them. There's no way.
It's going to be ugly.
Bo Nix, starting quarterback. I don't know.
Denver fans, it's going to be ugly. But, you moved off the Russ contracts. I don't know if that was the greatest thing because now you're eating $85 million in
I'll tell you, the only reason they really moved off them now, why they cut him, is because of Sean Payton and their relationship. Sean Payton is killing these guys, man.
Sean Payton is killing these guys, and he doesn't really get a lot of flack because he was an analytical guy, and everyone in the sports love him because of his brain, whatever. But he's a prick.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a nice person.
Yeah.
You have to see how he handles the Russ situation, how he just comes in, it's his way or the highway, and like you have to adapt to him. That's it. That's all. Players don't really like playing for him.
It seems like the players don't really like to play for him. It seems like he's
now a lot of people
thinks he's higher than you think he's better than everyone.
I agree, and a lot of people are blaming this sort of locker room meltdown on Russell Wilson, which I do think he has a part to play in it, but I don't think he's doing it willingly. Like, he's not willingly trying to destroy the team. But then you bring in a guy like Sean Payton, where you just see your quarterback and head coach constantly butting heads. That's not a good look. And look, hey, they traded a first for Sean Payton, so they must believe in him.
Mm-hmm. They have no choice.
Anyways, this was an absolutely horrible offseason in my opinion. I'm giving it a solid F-.
Bad F. That's what they're getting.
F triple minus.
I don't know what the plan is. I don't know. They even have a.
They do have. They're drafting 12th.
That's 12. I don't care. These guys, free Pat Surtain. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, yes.
John Lynch, free Pat Surtain. That's all I gotta say.
I agree with that.
That's about all. The only positive they got on this roster. Besides that, it's ugly. It's very ugly, and let's move on. Screw the Denver Broncos. These guys don't deserve any more of our time.
Anyways, another team going in is the Dallas Cowboys. Weren't really too active. Obviously, didn't have the most cap to do it. Lost Tony Pollard, Tyler Biadasz. Pretty sure I mispronounced that, whatever. Dorrance Armstrong. However, they brought in Eric Kendricks, my boy. I know Brandon's salty about that one. And re-signed Trent Sieg, Neville Gallimore, and
Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer did it again. He brought back his boy.
He uses he loves his old guys.
He does.
If you're a Mike Zimmer guy, he'll be loyal to you for life. Yeah, like if Harrison Smith would have hit the market, I'm pretty sure
he would have put in an offer for him.
I'm pretty sure he would end up a Cowboy.
I agree with you, and also another guy I want to shout out. If Anthony Barr was still playing,
he would have been a Cowboy.
He would have been a Cowboy. But yeah. Anyways, Dallas didn't really do too much. Obviously, their cap situation is not the best.
If Xavier Rhodes was available, he'd be a Cowboy. Okay,
no, he's done. He's done. But yeah, they bring in Eric Kendricks. Look, I don't hate this signing. I think Eric Kendricks still got some gas in him. Obviously, now more of a rotational guy. And that's pretty much all they did.
Dallas was desperate for a linebacker. You saw them playing safety as a linebacker.
Yeah, it was ugly.
I don't know how much Eric Kendricks got left in the tank. I still think he got some. I think he would have been a perfect role with us as like a. He would have been our second linebacker while Greenlaw was out. Then he would have been put in a nice situation as like a 3 rotational guy when Greenlaw comes back. But he chose to go to Dallas. Is what it is. I'm not losing sleep over Eric Kendricks, especially 2024. Eric Kendricks.
You shouldn't, no.
And just not much from Dallas. For me, it's they lost Tony Pollard and they didn't replace him. You see a guy like Derrick Henry go to Baltimore. The contract was nothing too spectacular. I feel like Dallas could have matched that, and that would have been a guy that could have fit with Dallas. And right now at running back, you're kind of running with Deuce Vaughn, I think, and Rico Dowdle. So I'd expect them to draft a running back, look into a guy like Trey Benson, Bucky Irving, or Blake Corum, someone like that. I'd expect Dallas to look
Blake
into.
Corum. I love him.
Yeah, I know you like Blake Corum. Yeah, I'd expect that's going to be their route because right now it's kind of dry, the market. You got guys like, who's even left right now? Kareem. The fact that I'm saying Kareem Hunt the first name, I feel like there's someone.
Dalvin Cook.
Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer's going to make the call, I don't know.
I mean, listen, when he was the head coach of Vikings, he loved him some Dalvin.
Exactly.
I can't lie.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do. Not much. To me, in terms of grade, I'll give it a D.
I'm gonna give it a D minus. It's nothing spectacular. They brought in Eric Kendricks, who I do think will help, honestly.
Mhm.
But like Brandon said, you move away from Pollard. You don't really replace him when you had the opportunity to. It's not a good look. Obviously, you don't have the most cap, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a D minus.
Like for me, especially on a market where so many running backs moved, it's like I feel like
You could have made an offer somewhere.
There was one of them that you could have at least tried to get. But
And they weren't going for that expensive. Like Saquon, I think, was the most expensive back, or was it Jacobs?
I think they both got the same.
Yeah, and it was like 14 mil a year per, something like that. Nothing too crazy.
12 to 14, in that range.
Nothing too crazy. Anyways, giving them a D minus for me.
Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers these guys aren't even to us. They're honorable mentions because of the losses that they had. Obviously, Mike Williams had to cut, and like we said, they traded
Keenan
Allen. Plus they lost Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett, and Kenneth Murray. They bring in Gus Edwards and Will Dissly, and they re-sign Alohi Gilman.
This was a move. These were moves that needed to be done.
Exactly. The new regime now, they have a new GM and a new head coach, so they kind of got put in a shit situation from the old regime. So they had to pick between the four guys: Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. They chose the defensive linemen, the edge rushers, which you look at Jim Harbaugh's past and just the way he's wired, it's kind of not a surprise. He has that old school mentality, run the football and play good defense. So not too much to be surprised there. They restructure Mack and Bosa, and I just feel like I don't want to be too harsh on them because they were put in a corner. And
They were.
Gus Edwards, a guy that I feel like fits the type of back that Jim Harbaugh does like. I like that signing, so I feel like it was an okay offseason, and I'll give them a C.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a C. The reason we put them on the loser side because their offense is just really bad right now.
But you hope they get Neighbors in the draft.
You're hoping for Neighbors, and I do think they have a very good shot of landing Neighbors or Bowers. Mm-hmm. I think one of those two are going to end up being a Chargers by the time the season starts. And obviously, still a lot of time till the draft. Things can happen. Trades can happen, and we'll see. But I mean, Chargers fans, you guys got Jim Harbaugh, guy. He's a good head coach, and he's going to turn this team around, I believe.
If I was a Chargers fan, this would be the most excited I'd be for a team in a long time.
Yeah.
You don't got Brandon Staley as a head coach. We got to deal with him now.
Yeah, it's your DC.
Yeah. Well, he's not our DC. He's our he's
special something planner or something.
He's just some assistant head coach. And just from the signings that we're making, I could see he's having an impact because Leonard Floyd was he coached him when he was in when he was a DC for the Rams.
And then he brought him in.
Kendricks was supposed to. He obviously coached Kendricks last year. And he was supposed to come to us. He didn't end up, but anyway.
Whatever.
That's gonna do it for our. You got anything else to?
No, it's just gonna wrap it up.
Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We did a mock draft right after day one of free agency. So if you want to see us talk a bit more about the first day of free agency. Mm-hmm. And those guys that we didn't talk about, because we didn't go over every team. So if you want to hear us talk about those moves, you can go check out that video. And we like the live stream, so
it was fun.
Yeah, so we're planning on doing more in the future. So if you enjoyed that, be on the lookout for that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you.
See you.
Bye.